Hey there, it's Liz, the Autism and ADHD parent coach, and this is a really short segment about prepping for the holidays. And this is useful any time of year that you might be getting together with family or that you might be busier with functions, and that can be really challenging when you have neurodivergent kids. So these are a few tips, and I'm going to dig in a little bit deeper to help you understand why these tips can be helpful. And then I'm also going to help you understand some mindset work that you can do as well that will be super helpful to you as the parent over the holidays. So the first tip that I want to tell you is about managing your schedule over the holidays. So you know that as a parent to a neurodivergent kid that you can't have the same expectations for that kid as you would have maybe for another child. And that is because they have different needs. They're a totally different person. And this is actually true with all of our children, that the expectations we have aren't fair because they're based off something that isn't necessarily right for that kid. Like we just kind of we call them a manual of how we think a kid should act. And regardless of your kid's diagnosis, they don't actually live by a manual. They aren't wired a certain way to listen, to behave, to know when to be quiet, to know what's appropriate, even if we've been trying to train them. That was my greatest lesson as a parent to an autistic child, was that I couldn't just say, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, and they would stop doing it. It was like they didn't receive training parenting that way, and it took me a really long time to figure that out. And you can just start by allowing yourself to just know, like, I don't know how my kid is. Maybe you don't know how your kid is going to act, so that is a good place for you to start. Maybe you do know how your kid is going to act, and so by thinking, okay, I already know this is going to be hard, how can I plan ahead to make this as easy as possible for both of us, or as enjoyable as possible? And oftentimes that's fewer events, fewer activities. So just managing your family's capacity. And you can even realize, like, okay, I'm going to need a babysitter for these days because I do want to participate in these, but I know that'll be too much for my child. So let's make it a win-win, if you have that ability to have someone that can provide care. And just remember, every outing costs something. It costs sensory energy, it costs emotional regulation, and then also a lot of times it needs time to recover. So take that into consideration when you're trying to decide. Like, if you only have a certain amount of social currency for this child, how do you want to prioritize that? So just things to think about. And if you're like overwhelmed just thinking about this, just go to the basics of, like, I don't know what's going to work. So I'm going to have as few obligations as possible because it's so easy to add things in. Or if it's easy for you to cut things out, then you can just be like, I'm just going to throw this on the schedule, but I'm going to be flexible about what we actually do because I'm going to pay attention to my child's capacity and I'm going to reevaluate. Number 2, predictability is like, your kids love it. They love it so much. I hate it, so it's really hard for me as a parent, but when I remember that, I'm less annoyed by other questions, and if you're a much better parent than me, you'll prepare them so they don't have to deal with unpredictability by explaining where it's going to be, what the environment's going to be like, how long it's going to be, if there's going to be food, if there's going to be activities, just as much information as you can give them, because that will be so helpful. For me, it's me being patient when the kids ask me, like, what time are we going to get there? Who's going to be there? What are we going to do? When are we going to leave? What are we going to eat? Like, my kids, they function high enough that they ask me all these questions, and I can get, like, overwhelmed because I don't think in that much detail personally. So just remember, like, they're going to feel so much better if they know what to expect. And so the best I can do to facilitate that is going to be good for them and for me. Okay? Number 2, also, just remember, knowing what to expect helps their nervous system be calm, feel calm. So they're not going into it already with this, like, heightened anxiety. Number 3 is to have some exit strategies. If the kid is seeming stressed out, then you can make deals like, hey, we're going to for sure stay till this point, and then we'll check in and see how you're doing. And if you're ready to go, we'll go. Or like, Dad will take you home, or I'll take you home and then come back. Whatever, like, everybody's needs here matter. But think about it. When your kid is spiraling, are you having fun? No, you're not. So if they're spiraling, you're going to want to go, right? So that's what you're planning for, is how I'm going to have fun and they're going to have fun. Or how we're all just going to manage to not have a horrible time, you know? Like, be realistic. Whatever seems doable for you, that's what we're shooting for here. So you just have some strategies. Like, we'll do at least one activity, one game, and then if you're feeling done, we'll go. Or we're just going to stay until this dessert, or we're going to give it an hour, or we'll take a break and you can go to a quiet room, or you can go sit in the car and listen to music, whatever. Like, we're trying to build a win-win here, because you want to do these activities and you want your kid to like not hate them, right? So that's what we're aiming for. The next step is to regulate yourself first. So if you know it's going to be a stressful evening, try to keep a calm morning. Don't drink too much caffeine. Try to get good sleep. Do things that help you feel calm and ready, so that you're going in at like a better balanced baseline, because your kid's going to anchor. Their energy is going to be anchored on your energy. So if you're already like frazzled and depleted, there's going to be less capacity for the event. So remember that. We're always managing our capacity, and that doesn't mean that we're shaming ourselves for having less capacity. We're paying attention to what we have and then making our life and our world work with that. Let go of imaginary standards. So if you're seeing like your brother come in and all of his kids are in matching clothes and they have their hair all done up tight, and you're just like, oh, that's going to be a really cute picture on Instagram, and your kid's in the same shirt they've been wearing for 7 years straight, or it's backwards with little chew holes in it, you don't need to let that make something that's already going to be kind of stressful and hard worse, right? So you're just letting yourself know ahead of time. And if it makes you sad, that's okay. If you look at that and you're like, I wish that I had that beautiful family that I could take a picture of, but this is what I have. It's okay to feel that, like, just disappointment and sadness, but don't allow it to like beat you down, right? So it's just allowing like some disappointment, and not like our family should be like that. Can you tell the difference between those two emotions? One is super clean, just like, I'm disappointed, I would love to have a picture like that, but that's just not our life, right? And the other one is like ashamed, and that is a much heavier burden to carry than disappointment. Last thing, the holidays, the magic is in enjoying it. It's not in where the elf is, all the beautiful pictures you have, all the traditions you did. It's not in like how it looks to the outside world. It's how it felt to you and to your family. And if the way it looks is different than other people, just remember, I am cultivating a feeling. And if us sitting on the couch with headphones and fuzzy blankets and watching a safe show, if that feels safe and harmonious, that's the magic, right? So those are some little tips for you, and I hope that it was helpful. I tried to explain, why they mattered, and I just hope you have an amazing holiday season. Thanks for being here.